Hi guys, it is Lori from Femgenuity. I hope you're having a fantastic week. Hey look, Femgenuity just means female ingenuity. Ingenuity means original, creative, and this platform has completely been designed and developed by me and my team for female entrepreneurs. Being an entrepreneur is so lonely sometimes, and there are a lot of small, medium-sized, and massive-sized decisions that you have to make, and you shouldn't have to do that alone. A lot of people, a lot of women around you have already experienced the things that you're going through, and perhaps you've experienced the things that they're going through. So that's what Femgenuity is all about. So this week with Femgenuity, we decided to focus on fears and stumbling blocks to just kind of give you some encouragement, kind of an aspirational lift out of that. So let's start with fears. Man, there's so many fears to even getting started. For those of you who had the courage to step forward and start, I just applaud you. It is so difficult to move past your fears. And what you feel like is your inadequacies, which is a big fat lie. We'll talk about lies in the future soon too. But to move past your fears and get going, for those of you who have not started yet, because of a fear or several fears or a multitude of fears, we understand. I mean, we completely understand that. It is so hard to overcome your fears, but I will tell you, as someone on the other end of the fear spectrum journey, I mean, I have been through some stuff. It's just exhilarating. It's awesome. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. You're worth it. It's worth it. And I'm going to give you some tools, hopefully today here on this video to help you start moving through fear and thinking about setbacks just a little bit differently. So for fears, I'm just going to touch on a couple of fears because you may have a multitude of them. And I'm more than happy if you want to drop some of your fears down in the comments down below, which I know is a little bit vulnerable, but just drop some of your fears. You could just put the word if you want to, so we can speak some encouragement over you. That would be super awesome. But one of the big fears is that you're not good enough. So you have this great idea and let's say you're a working mom and you're a school teacher, an accountant, a lawyer, whatever you are, you run a restaurant. And you think to yourself, I'm not good enough to step out on my own. I don't have certain skill sets. Which might be very true. Like not all of us have all the things, right? Some of us are highly creative, but can't, do 2 + 2. Some of us can clep trigonometry tests, but we can't paint a picture or sing a song or write any copy at all. And some of us have grammar problems out the wazoo. These are all me, by the way. I'm just using myself as an example here, but that you're not good enough. And what I would say is that none of us are good enough, not to the standard that you have in your own head. You have something that you're excited about and that you love and you want to step out into business, and yet I'm not good enough just keeps ringing in your head, or maybe someone's telling you that. I would tell you to block that, because there are chances that you're not good enough in certain areas of what you want to do, but in the one that's calling your name and the passion that's pulling you forward, you are good enough. You're more than good enough, and you have gifts and talents that need to be shared with the world. So don't forget that. You've been gifted with things that don't belong inside of you. They belong outside, changing the world, making a difference in your life and all the little lives and big lives around you. So for the parts of it that you're not good enough in, that's okay. That's where we hire other people. That's where we get volunteers. That's where we get our grandfather or our brother or our sister or whoever, a friend, good friend, to step in and help with the parts that we're not good at. And some of the other things you could do too, when you're not good enough at something, is that you can learn about it. There are so many books. I have learned so many things about business and about managing people and about my own self through reading books and getting more knowledge. And that's one of the really great tools that you have at your disposal for no money. It's just a time investment to get good at something. But what people don't tell you is when you go into business, you have to kind of learn a lot of it yourself. But the minute you can, you will employ other people to help you. And man, I have employed so many volunteers and people that love me, and then paid employees and then partners along the way. So I'm not good enough is such a great fear that a lot of us face. Know that you're not alone there, but you are good enough. You are good. You're more than good enough. One of the other fears that I've faced so many times and that I hear so many times from other people is the fear of the unknown. I don't know what this looks like. If I step out and start this restaurant, I have no clue what I'm getting myself into. And that is true. But the unknown can also be flipped in your head, instead of a trepidation or fear or scary, to adventure. Fear and excitement ride a real thin line. Mel Robbins talks about this, how when she's scared, she'll turn it into excitement. So they ride a really thin line between each other. So as you're scared of the unknown, know, first of all, like I've said, we all are. Everybody's scared of what you don't know. But secondly, this could be a really cool adventure. And thirdly, somebody's already done it. I mean, not everything, like no one's gone to Pluto, but there's things that people have already done that you're doing. So maybe seek them out and find some content online that's something they're doing. So if you were interested in, I would really like to write my first fiction novel. Well, I've written 130 fiction novels. I'd be someone you might want to seek out and find out how I did it. What was my process? How do I come up with ideas? Ask questions. Get curious and ask questions. I can promise you, anybody that you go looking for online that has done something you want to do, they want to talk about it because it's just fun. That was an unknown to me to step out and write my first fiction novel, but I did it. And now I love talking about it. And I don't get to talk about it too terribly much. But fear of the unknown is something that we all face all the time. I will tell you, I have a massive tool that I use against fear of the unknown. It's one question. It's, what's the worst thing that could happen? And be serious about what's the worst thing that could happen. I'm going to give you an example from my life. When I stepped out of being a 6-figure CPA after 12 years, I asked myself, okay, I'm going to go write fiction novels, which I'd never written before. What's the worst thing that could happen? Well, you could fail at this miserably and have to go back and get another job as a CPA. Was that possible? Yes, I really do believe that I could get another job as a CPA. Now, if you didn't believe that, if you were like, no, I feel like I'm too old for this, too young for this, we have all of our excuses, right? But if I feel like I couldn't get another job as a CPA, accounting went poof in the night last night and no one is hiring CPAs. What would I do? Then what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, I'd have to go find another job. That doesn't work. Now what? I would have to sell my house and move back in with my mother and my mom and dad. And for me, I really like my mom and dad, and my mom's an excellent cook. Like, I would have a fantastic meal every night, and I'd figure it out. I'd get another job, or I'd get some more education. And I know that seems simple to say because some of you don't have that answer, the answers that I've given, but you do have some answer. So the question that you're asking is not to get to the answer of yes, then go do it. It's to be honest with yourself of what is the worst thing that could possibly happen. And if that thing is something that you're not okay with, that you can't swallow, you're like, yeah, I would never move back in with my parents, no matter what, then you might want to rewrite the question or think about a different opportunity or put some security in place so that the opportunity is not so risky. But if it's a serious risk and it's in the unknown, you have to ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? And the second question is, am I okay with that? And if you are, take the adventure. Take a chance on yourself. You just don't even begin to know what you're capable of. It's amazing when you step out and do something for yourself, especially something you're passionate about. And the world around you changes because of what you've done. Those are just a couple of fears. So many more that we'll continue to go over as we unpack all of this. But if you have one, like I said, I'd love for you to leave it in the comments below. The second thing I want to talk about is stumbling blocks. Stumbling blocks are going to happen continuously because we're living life in motion. We're moving forward, right? We're on the go. We have families, we have jobs and careers and businesses and ministries and friends and life groups and book clubs, you name it, we have it. So stumbling blocks are going to come in no matter what. Some of the stumbling blocks I want to talk about first, and I've touched on this a little bit already, are lack of knowledge. When you move into starting your own business, or if you have your own business now, or if you're maturing your business, there's still parts of your business that you lack knowledge. I would assume a lot of us, and I've encountered this a lot actually, have a lack of knowledge in the area of how do I set up the legal part of my business? How do I deal with the accounting and the budgeting and the payroll and the taxes? Things that you're not necessarily involved in that usually you'll get a professional to take care of. There's a lack of knowledge there, and that scares us. I mean, it scares me too. I'm a CPA, so I understand the accounting piece, but from a legal perspective, that used to scare the heck out of me. You may have things like, I don't know how to hire people. I don't understand HR rules and regulations, which are created by you, but still, I don't understand this new generation or the older generation, or there's just a lack of knowledge. And even as we grow in our businesses and technology changes, we have a lack of knowledge there too. So where we sell books on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited changes every single year. They do upgrades and changes, and we have to keep on top of that technology. So the answer to lack of knowledge is study up. Study up, read books, watch podcasts, Read blogs, interact with people who have that expertise, ask questions, be curious. Like I said, that's the way you're going to make yourself feel better about lack of knowledge. And then find people that are really good at what you're not good at or what you don't understand, and learn more and give those responsibilities over to them. That's just a little bit of it. Okay, life events can happen too. Man, life has just smacked us around a lot this year. It is 2021 when we're doing this video, and this year alone, my mom fell down the stairs on the first of the year and broke her ankle, which was traumatic, and had to have surgery to completely put it back together. Let's see, my marriage went through a massive storm in March, and we had a huge family blow up. Very tough time in our lives in March. In April, we closed down the restaurant I thought I wanted to have. Since I was 8 years old, I've wanted a restaurant, so we opened one. And due to a bunch of things that happened, we closed down the restaurant, which was a $165,000 loss. We found out shortly thereafter that, well, before actually, that my baby son, the youngest one I have, he's like 6'1". He's not a baby, but he's my baby son. He got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. He had lost 35 pounds and his blood sugar was out the roof, and we just didn't know. We didn't know to look for that. And so going through the process of him dipping low and almost going unconscious multiple times meant no sleep for about 2 months. 2 months of no sleep whatsoever, and trying to figure out the calculations of monitoring someone's blood sugar nonstop, especially a teenager who has hormones and growth hormone and all those fun things that are messing with the diabetes. So we had the type 1 diabetes hit us, and then a couple of months ago, our middle kiddo tried to commit suicide. It has been a very, very, very stumbling block year. Everybody is safe and happy and healthy. I am very thankful to say, but these are stumbling blocks. We have 10 companies. There has been a lot of moments that I thought, can I continue to do this? You know, and I think a lot of the reason that Femgenuity was born out of all of this was because I wanted you to be encouraged. Had it not been for God and my family, there's no way we would have made it. But what I want to give you some encouragement on is in those stumbling blocks, life is going to happen. Like I could not have controlled most of the things that happened to us this year. And yet I can control how I react to it. It's tough. That's tough. But I can control how I react to it. And what I chose to do was make some space. I made some extreme margin in my life. I pushed off stuff on my employees and my partners and my friends that they could take away from me for a while, so I'd have some space to process the emotional trauma of all of these things. And you have to prepare. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about this, but we have to prepare for trauma because it's, unfortunately, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but it's coming. Like trauma, we're always either in a storm, coming out of one, or going into the next one. So there are ways to prepare. And one of the best things I've ever done is delegate and prepare my team for some time off that I take each year. And in doing that, now anytime anything happens, they're capable of stepping in and lifting me and my family up, which is exactly what they did. So life events will happen. Lastly, the biggest stumbling block I think some of us face is ourselves. It's the negative self-talk in our heads. It's the beating ourselves up because of who we've been in the past. It's the I'm not good enough. It's the I'll never figure this out. I'm too dumb. It's the prejudging ourselves so no one else will judge us when no one else is even paying attention. It's you. What I would say to this is, and again, we will really break down into this if you guys want to, but I would say that the number one stumbling block for all business owners is themselves. The only thing that you can do to push past this and to get better at this is to work on you. You will work on and in the business for the rest of your life, but you have to work on you. You are the number one stop block. You will be the one in the door frame every time if you're not careful. And that's working on you. That's working on your ability to manage people. It's working on your ability to have mindfulness. It's working on your ability to have peace and to be a loving, kind, good person. Those are not easy, especially in the business world. But I've worked on myself for 20 years. I've gone to events, I've read books, I've done more journals than you guys want to know. But working on you is going to be the quickest way to project your business into the future. I should say traject. I don't even know that's a word. Okay, so this is the deal. Fears and stumbling blocks are coming up. They're all around us. They're going to always be around us. So we're going to have to just push them out a little bit. right? And use some of the tools that I've mentioned to gain more knowledge, to work harder on ourselves, to prepare for these things as best we can so that we can have the margin and the space to keep moving and keep growing. You're either growing or you're dying. If you're upset and frustrated and life seems terrible, chances are you've stopped growing. And these fears and these stumbling blocks will forever get in your way of growth, and you've got to learn how to manage that. And I'm hoping that you are completely inspired and encouraged by what you're going to see other women in Femgenuity doing and have done. And I'm hoping we can just link arms together and keep moving forward and growing. We're just going to keep going and keep pushing because you've got this.